How's it going, everyone? Bit of a long time no see. It's been raining here for about the last 2.5 months. It's been absolutely incredible, the amount of water we've had here. But see, for people like me, that's a good thing, because all of our drinking water and every little skerrick of water that we use on this property comes from that rain. That's a good thing. We collect it off our roofs, it gets stored in tanks, and all the groundwater gets directed down to our little dam down the back of the property there. We use that for irrigation. So all this rain is an absolute godsend. We're well and truly stocked up for water for the next year. So, very good thing. I'm a happy man. One downside of all this water though is this ground is absolutely waterlogged. Because it's got a very high clay content, once it gets saturated, it just becomes saturated. And that's about all it does. It just saturates, it holds that water. It doesn't get away very easily. It takes a long time for it to actually seep through. So a lot of plants, they don't like having wet feet. And one plant I've noticed in particular throughout this water that's really struggling is my little red papayas. And I've got quite a few of them here. And the main reason I grow them is they're a very fast growing tree. They produce shade very quickly because this garden is only basically in its infant stage. It's only coming into its second year now. And I plant them around, they produce that shade. As I said, fast growing, pretty simple to look after. But what I'm finding with them though, is their roots are quite shallow. They don't actually get down very deep. And when this water saturates, it becomes very loose, very mushy, and things are tending to fall over. I'll show you what I mean with these papayas. Well, there you go, the sun's just decided to come out. That's a good thing, but by the looks of these clouds, I don't think it's going to be out for too much longer. But anyway, getting back to what I was talking about, this little tree here in particular was very happy and healthy about 3 weeks ago. You know, leaves are starting to look stressed. It's full of fruit. If you look down there, you'll notice how much that ground moves because it's absolutely saturated with water and it becomes very mushy. So there's a couple of things I could do with this plant. I could either just leave it, and if it falls over, it falls over, so be it. I could either prop it up, or I could just walk away from it and just let it do what it wants to do, which is what I think I'll probably do with this plant. But there are other few that I've lost. I've actually had to pull them out. They've completely collapsed. One plant though that is absolutely loving all this water is my little banana trees. And I only bought them about 3 weeks ago. I've been trying pretty hard to get bananas around here. They're actually pretty hard. And because we're in Queensland, there's quite a lot of laws that prohibit people like me just going out and grabbing bananas off your mate's place and putting them on your property and things like that. It's very controlled, very restricted with what you can do with bananas, especially with transportation and things like that, especially with the soil that is actually around those banana plant roots. We got quite some bad diseases here in Queensland, and the DPI, they actually do a very good job of controlling it. So for people like me, when we want to buy bananas, they have to be through an authorised seller. They're normally produced from tissue culture and they're a registered breeder, and there's only a couple of them that I know of in Queensland, so they're quite hard to get hold of, quite expensive. But the other week I got hold of 2 of them, and what I ended up getting was a little Pisang Ceylon banana, a little dwarf variety. They only get about 5 metres tall. And one thing I'm learning about bananas is they absolutely love it here. They love the water, they love the ground, which is actually quite interesting. Even though I've amended the soil quite well with lots of manures, they're a very hungry plant. They like a lot of water. So I've taken those 2 things into consideration when I planted them. They're absolutely thriving. Check this little baby out. So this plant here has been in the ground for about 3 weeks. It was only tiny. They're just gorgeous. They get this beautiful red flush under the leaf. They get the red vein quite an attractive tree. But when I bought it, it would have only been down about here, about 1.5 foot tall. It's grown this much in 3 weeks. It's absolutely loving the water. And it's absolutely loving the manures that I put in with it as well. So I've established the bananas grow really well here, and I'm not going to get knocked around like those red papayas do. So one plant, now that I've got them, I'll have them forever now. As they grow, I can continue harvesting these little pups that grow down the bottom here, like that. So this is basically considered the grandmother. This will be the mother, and this will be the daughter down here. Little fella just down there. And the idea is to grow 3 of them all the time. Never have any more than 3. So as this plant here grows up, it'll produce fruit. When it produces that fruit, it'll die. It gets chopped back. This plant here, that was considered the mother, now becomes the grandmother. This plant here, that was considered the daughter, now becomes the mother. And over time, another little sucker will grow up as well. Okay, so there'll be 3. So it's a good thing, and as they come up and as more grow, I simply harvest them and I throw them around all around the property, and I'm going to have heaps of bananas, which is a good thing because we go through so many bananas. It's ridiculous. So there you go, little Pisang banana, about 5 foot tall. It's awesome. This is the other one. This is actually a little Cavendish. It's a very attractive little plant too. It's got the red markings on it, the red veins. Got them from the same place, and it's already growing little suckers out of the bottom here. It's really good. It's actually really exciting. And there's actually a 4th one coming out just down here. So this little fella here, he'll get detached from this mother plant when it gets a little bit bigger, and he'll go in his own area, and that's a good thing. But this little one here is absolutely powering as well. They're growing amazingly quick, and I'm very, very impressed. I've never actually grown bananas before. I've had banana plants where I've lived, but I've never actually started them before. So this is very exciting. The only pests that I've noticed is I had a few little grubs. A tiny little yellow grub. I'm not sure what they were, but they had a good chew on these leaves when I first stuck them in the ground. But they've since left them alone, and there was only 2 of them on this particular plant, and it's growing very happy and healthy. And what I've done when I planted these things is I added a lot of manure. These things love manure. They're a very heavy feeder, and what that manure has done has been mixed into that ground, and you can see how wet that is. Look at that. That's not good. As far as soil's concerned, that's not good if I can do that. But these things don't seem to have a problem with it. So I've really amended this area with lots of manure. I've placed lots of organic matter on top, and they seem to be responding really well with that. And the humidity that we're getting here at the moment too, they're responding really well. So it's exciting. Got bananas. So this plant you see behind me here, it's a legume, and it's called a pigeon pea. Now, this particular plant, they're a short-lived perennial. They live for about 5 or 6 years. And they're very important for a couple of reasons. The main one is very, very strong, deep taproot that these things produce. They get down really deep into your soil. Now that's really important for people like me that have very compacted, hard clay soil. These things can get down nice and deep, pull those nutrients up, which is a good thing. I can then harvest these leaves. I can harvest it, strip it. I can throw that at the base of my trees. I start creating leaf litter. I generate my own leaf material, my own organic matter, which is a very important thing when you're producing a garden that produces food. Also, a really important little role that these plants can play is because they're so fast growing, they're a really good little protector species for your more tropical type of plants, or your more sun sensitive plants, frost sensitive plants and things like that. So the idea is if you have a little plant that you're growing, say a tropical type of tree, plant one of these right in front of it, really up nice and close, and especially the direction that the sun comes over in the hottest part of the day, so it'll shelter that little tree through that hottest part of the day and give that little tree a nice little jump start. And also the roots of this plant, they won't hinder the development of that little tropical at all. They'll actually help it along. They'll loosen up that soil, they'll pull all those nutrients up, and then you can simply, like I said before, you can simply harvest the leaves off these things and use it as a mulch layer for the bottom of your little tropical tree. And what's really interesting about most legumes is they create an association with little nitrogen fixing bacteria that hang out in their roots. These little nitrogen fixing bacteria produce nitrogen, and in turn this tree provide those little nitrogen fixing bacteria with starches. So it's a nice little symbiotic relationship. They work well hand in hand together. But what that basically means is plants like this, especially particularly legumes, are very beneficial for keeping your soil happy and healthy, and they should never be overlooked. So if you're growing food, make sure you're just not growing food for yourself. Make sure you're growing types of plants that will benefit your soil. Another plant in particular is basically comfrey, a very beneficial plant. Its leaves are very nutritious and people make compost teas and all those sorts of things out of them. So do a little bit of research as far as this is concerned, and you'll find that there are quite a few plants, things like acacias and stuff like that. I mean, you can't eat them, but they are nitrogen fixing at the end of the day. So it depends what type of garden setting that you are trying to establish. If you are just trying to grow food, or if you're trying to create more of a permaculture type of garden where things are basically dual purpose or multi-purpose. So there you go, pigeon pea. Look out for them. If you can find the seed, get them into your garden. They like the warm, they don't like the cold too much. They'll probably die back a little bit, but they're very fast growing, and it's one plant that I would never be without in my garden.